Hello all and welcome to our Crochet Designs. My name is Mary and in today's tutorial we are working on part 2 of our gorgeous Mile-a-Minute table runner. Very exciting. Now part 1, as you know, was 1, 2, 3, 4 strips. Part 2 is join as you go on your strips and doing your 1 row of single crochet for the border. All right, now I was going to do 2 rows, but I didn't like the way it sat on the actual border, so I only did the 1, which is fine. Now I did mention in part 1, if you wanted to do tassels on your peaks right here, right there. Let's get a close up. If you wanted to do tassels right there on your peak, you pop your hook through the back and you pull your tassels through. What do tassels look like, I hear you ask? Check that little pattern right there. That is our recent poncho that we made. It was a mystery poncho and I popped a gazillion tassels on, as you can see. So if you wanted to do tassels, you can head over to that tutorial, practice the tassels and then come back here and do them on your table runner. Not necessary. I'm not doing them on mine, so that's entirely up to you whether you want to do them on yours. All right. That's all I want to say, guys. I did talk about measurements in part 1. However, if you really wanted to know what our measurements were, I have to look at them now. It was 120.5 centimetres in length and 23 centimetres in width. All that is 47.5 inches in length and 9 inches in width. Okay, so really, it was really big. It is fairly big, but it's good. Also, if you wanted to make your Mile-a-Minute table runner into a blanket, all you needed to do was add extra strips, extra cluster strips, if you want to call them. I don't really know what I'm calling them, actually. I don't really know what they're called, but they're strips. We're working in little peaks like that. All right, I'm not going to talk anymore. I'm just going to let you get started creating part 2 of your gorgeous Mile-a-Minute table runner. Good luck all. Alrighty guys, where you would have left off in your previous tutorial on part 1, we would have ended off making all your strips. Now these are my strips. I'm not going to show you them all because they keep going all the way up. They're really long. But this is where I asked you to pop your stitch marker at the beginning of the row. Now if you've taken yours off, it doesn't matter. I'll show you this part anyways. Let's move 3 of them out the way. Let's work on this one with the stitch marker that we have in there. All right. So your stitch marker is in the middle, okay? Your chain thread is here. That's where we initially first started crocheting, from the very beginning of our piece. Just take your stitch marker out. Whoops. Now, right there, you will have your 1, 2, 3, and then you've got your chain 3 there. So literally 4 double crochets, right? What I want you to do is pop your stitch marker just in that space there of this piece. Yes, and leave it there. That's it. That's all you need to do. Grab your next piece, do exactly the same thing, pop it out of the center and right into the space before your, if I can get it in, your 4 double crochets. All right, in that space on the bottom piece, not the top of your work, the bottom. Doesn't matter either way. If you go to the top of your work, you'll find you'll be crocheting over this piece right here, and you don't want to do that. Okay, so just on the bottom of your work, this is where we're going to start every row. Okay, so there's your 1, 2, oops, I'm out of frame. 1, 2, 3, and that's your chain stitch right there, and there's a space right in there. Look at a little chain space right in there. Yeah, let me show you the other one, wherever that is. I don't know where it is. Here it is, nice and close up. Take it out of your middle chain, count your 1, 2, 3, and your chain stitch right there, 4, and then there's a little tiny space in there. It's a fairly small space, but it is a space that we need to get into. All right, so there we go. Now that you've got all your little stitch markers in, you need to decide how you want your pieces to go. Now yours truly, it doesn't really matter, but I'm going to start off with the green, only because that's where we started off with using that colour in the first place, and that's it. Later, when we finish doing one side of the green and the second side of the green, we're going to attach it to the yellow, and then we're going to attach it to the green, and then we're going to attach it to the other yellow, which I know I put the stitch marker in, but I don't know where it is. There it is, there it is. They're all tangled up there, all right? And I'll explain that later, so don't stress too much about it, all right? But we're just going to do this for now. Focus on the one piece, grabbing your cream or whatever colour you're using to join as you go. That's the method we are using here. I will go as slowly as I can for anyone joining us new. But for those of you who have done join as you go, you would know the way I do it. Now, it's a tad different on this one than it is on our other ones, but a very minor difference. And I'll explain that to you throughout the tutorial. Now, that's the space we put our stitch marker in. Easy peasy. Pop your hook right in that space. Alrighty guys, I just deleted that section there because yours truly started wrongly, okay? So the way I want you to start, take out your stitch marker and you should have your 1, 2, 3 and 4. And the way it looks is that's, let me do it this way. That's your last stitch. That's your second last. That's your third, which is really, weird. And then you've got your first, which is the actual chain right there. So it goes 1, 2, 3, and 4. Pop your hook in that very first one. Now I did that wrong before, and I'm going to leave mine, so it's not going to affect you at all. But all you need to do is just start like normal. Pop your thread through like so, passing your tail end over, chain 1, 2, and 3. It doesn't really, the first piece doesn't really affect you on how you start anyways, but I did want to keep in sync for you, just so that you understand at the end of the, this piece where you're starting your next one, all right? All right, so that's your first stitch. Now I'm crocheting over my tail, okay? Doesn't matter, I'll weave it in as well. You're going to pop a double crochet in that stitch there. If you want, you can move the tail for a minute. And that's the stitch you're going into. All right, I'm going to crochet over the tail. Right there. 1. You know what? It's not that close, is it? Let's do this. How's that? There you go. Happy? I am. I'm going to drop the tail because this is not my original piece anyway. So I'm going to pop that hook in there so you can see what I'm doing. Yeah. 2, 3, and 4. Okay. From here, we're going to pop our normal double cluster set in there. Now the normal one was actually 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet, but yours truly doesn't really want a pointed edge, or more of a round, still pointy, but it's more rounded. Now if you wanted to keep yours pointy, by all means keep doing the same thing, but I would like to do 3 double crochets, chain 1 and 3 double crochets here. All right, so off we go. Do 3 double crochets, 1, 2, and 3. Chain 1 and 1, 2, and 3. All right, from here, what you're going to do, just move everything out the way so you can see what you're doing. Remember we put 4 double crochets along there. We need to put 4 along here. One is going to go in that little tiny gap there. 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right, so yarn over your hook, that stitch right there. That's why I moved everything over so I can find it, and in you go with 1. Oops. 2, 3, and your last one is these little chains here, 4. All right, a little bit tight, but they're there, yeah? I'm going to go into this space now with 3 double crochets. All right, so there you go. So what we're going to do now is jump straight into that space there with 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3. This is the easy part, guys. You're jumping right into the very next space. Now, being careful, you're jumping in the big space, not that tiny little chain looking thing you see there. Right in the big space, you are putting 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. And again, straight into the next space with, you guessed it, 3 double crochets. All right, super duper easy this part. I don't think I need to show you this, but what I will do is pull up a loop. You don't need to, you can continue. Just continue on the way, all the way across. What I want you to do is pop a stitch marker somewhere, okay? Any stitch marker you have, piece of thread, paper clip, it doesn't matter. You don't have to do what I'm doing here, but anything will do. You're going to pop your stitch marker in that space there. Do your last cluster set, cluster set, cluster set. Once you get here before your stitch marker, complete it and wait for me there. All right, so all you're doing now is doing all these sets all in a row, all the way across. Get to that stitch marker, complete your set there, and I'll meet you there once you're done. Alrighty guys, here we are at the end of this side. Let me bring that up. All right. Now let's get a close up for you. All right. So I asked you to get to the space before the stitch marker. That's the one before our stitch marker. Now the stitch marker is the last space before the next 4 double crochets. All right. So we actually have a tail on this side as well. I'm not sure if you do, but I do. So what I'm going to do is just grab that tail that way at the back there and pop in 3 double crochets in the space like normal. 1, 2, and 3. Bear with me guys, the sun's playing tricks on me. It keeps going in and out and I can see the lighting changing here. That's so cute. All right, I don't know why it's cute, but it is. Anyway, so we've got our 1, 2, 3, 4 double crochets here, remember from before? Pop a double crochet in your first, 1 in your second, there, a 1 in your third, Lexel, 1 in your fourth, and here we are in the center. Now remember what we did in the center on the opposite side there, yes? What we did was we put 3 double crochets, or 1, 2, and 3. And we didn't put chain 2. We did a chain 1 only because we are going to curve our corners and not have the peak, yeah? So you need to put another 3 double crochets in your space. Whoops. 2 and 3. And then you've got your 1, 2, 3, and 4. Notice how I move that out the way to find my 1, because sometimes it literally covers it and it's actually gone. And so you think that's the one when really that's the one right there. All right. So do your 1 double crochet in the first one, 1 in your second one, 1 in your third, and 1 in the fourth. And right here, don't miss this space or you'll be one, space short. It's actually a space. You need to put 3 double crochets in that space there. 1, 2, and 3. And guess what? 3 double crochets in your next space. 2 and 3. Notice how I'm going faster now because that's what I do. 3 in your next. I'll slow it down. I'm sorry. And just 3 in every space. You need to put 3 in every space. Again, all the way across your piece until you get to that space right there, and that's the space before another space. So really get to one of the spaces, it doesn't matter, and I will meet you there once you're done. All right, so just keep putting cluster sets in every space you see. Now that's these big spaces and not the tiny little space there. Big ones, big ones, big ones. All right, so a cluster in each space all the way across. Get to your second last or your last cluster set there, and I shall meet you there once you're done. Alrighty guys, here we are at the end of the row. Now yours truly has a space here. Okay, so I'm going to pop my normal cluster set in there. Now you'll have a space in your next space as well. Okay, right there. You'll have that space before your 4 double crochets. Now don't look at mine because I did mine wrong, but you'll have that space there. So what I want you to do is pop 3 double crochets in that space right there. All right, so you need to put your 3 double crochets in there. 1, 2, and 3. Pop your hook into the top chain like I'm going to do here, but yours will be there, and just slip stitch to join. So you pop a hook, pull it through, and pull it through to the loop on your hook. Pull up a loop, and there you go. All right, give your work a cut. And we're done. All right. Oops, I didn't, that wasn't even in frame, but I cut it. All right, so you've done one gorgeous piece, and now we're going to join our very next piece. What colour is yours, I hear you ask? Whatever that is, I don't know, but mine is going to be the yellow. All right, now once again, we're going to start there. We're going to leave that. We're going to start there, but this time yours truly is not going to make a mistake. You like that? She's not going to make a mistake. No, no, no. All right, so what we're going to do is those 4 double crochets, 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right, pop your hook in the top chain of that first stitch, grabbing your thread, Alexa, and just pulling a loop through as normal. Grabbing your little tail end, passing it forward, so we're going to lock that into place. Chain 1, 2, and 3. Pop a stitch marker in the top chain right there, just so it's easier to join as you go, yeah, or slip stitch I should say. And in the very next stitch you're doing the same thing. Double crochet 1. A little bit awkward, those 2 stitches. They're just a little bit tight. Oops, I'll get this up there. Double crochet a 3rd one in the next, and a 4th one in your last. Pop that tail at the back. You're now going to jump into that top space. Now what did we do in the top? We didn't do 3, 2, 3. We did 3, 1, 3. So 3 double crochets, 1, 2, 3. Chain 1, and then 3 again. 1, 2, and 3. All right, so from here we need to do what we did before. We need to go 1, move that over, 1, 2, 3, and in your 4th chain right there. So let's do that now. 1 double crochet, 2 double crochets, 3, and your 4th right there. You've got your very first space. Now being wary, okay, that is a space you're going to put your cluster set in. At the end of this row, you're going to pop your cluster set in that space there. We'll do that together anyway. I just wanted to let you know that there is actually a space right there that you need to pop your first cluster set in, and you can crochet over your tail if you like, and in you go into that space with 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Pass your tail at the back and popping into your very next space, and you guessed it, exactly the same as your green. All right, but this is going to be a tad different. All right, you're going to go along here like you did with the green. Where's the start of the green? I think the green's that side. All right, there's your green, and there's your yellow. You're going to go along the top edge, all the way across, all the way across, all the way across. It's so big, these strips. All right, you're going to go all the way across, and when you get to, grab a little stitch marker, complete, actually no, tell you what we'll do. When you get to your first space over here before your corner, that's before your 4 double crochets, all right? When you get to before your 4 double crochets, wait for me there, and I'll tell you what you're going to do next, because you're not going to do the next side. When you do the next side, that's going to join to your other piece. So just get to that stitch marker right there, and I'll meet you here in a moment. Alrighty guys, there's our one side done, and I asked you to get to right there, just before the next 4. No, that's still far away. Let's try that again. How's that? That's much better. So you're going to pop into that stitch marker space, and you're going to put your normal 3 double crochets in there. All right, so 1, 2, and 3, like so. Then in every stitch across, you've got your 1, 2, 3, and 4. You're going to put your double crochets in each. So there's your first one. I'm just going to pop that tail now for now. 1, 2, 3. My 4th one looks a little tight there, but it is there, right there. And there you go. And what are you going to do in the corner? 3, 1, 3. So 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Chain 1. And 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Now once again, you have your 4 across. So you need to put 1 double crochet in each stitch, which is 1. Right, one was a bit tight for me. Those edge ones are 2, 3, and 4. Now, this is the part where we join, okay? But this can be it can be a tad tricky if you're new to crochet, but take the risk because this join is gorgeous. Now you'll find your work might be a little bit bubbly. That's okay. It'll kind of sort itself out once it's attached. All right, so don't stress about that. Now we're going to worry about tails after we do this section, okay? We'll just do this whole piece first and then we'll worry about tails later. But for now, you have completed your 4 double crochets here, right? Bring this up. Your 4 double crochets on this side and your 4 double crochets there. Now for me, my slip stitch is in the wrong spot. Your slip stitch should be there on that 4th double crochet. But remember, I made an error. It doesn't affect you at all. But that's where you need to now slip stitch into from here. It's the space before your 4 double crochets. All right, so don't worry about my knot. I'm going to pop that at the back for now. Normally, we would actually go under and slip stitch through this way. But that kind of lifts up your work, and that's okay on certain pieces, but it doesn't look right on the Mile-a-Minute. So you want to go from top down in this case. All right, so there's your 4 double crochets. Pop your hook in the space after your 4 double crochets. The hook goes in, pull a loop up, and pull it through to the loop on your hook. Now, I'm going to show you that again in a minute anyways, so don't stress too much. Okay, from here, just tighten it a little bit, not too much. You're going to jump into the first space of your yellow, and off you go and do 3 double crochets in that first space. 2 and 3. All right, so now you're going to slip stitch in the opposite side. I have a knot here, you won't. Your knot would have been right here where you just joined, so don't just ignore my knot here. You're going to jump over into that space there, just leaving your work, your thread in front, pop in that stitch, pull the loop through, pull the loop through, up and through to the loop on your hook. Okay, we're going to do that again. So jumping directly into the next space. Now, being wary, there is a space there. Don't jump over and go into that one. There's a space right there. So you're going to do your 3 double crochets in that space. 1, 2, and 3. And we get a close up of this join so you can see it again. Right there. All right. So you've gone into that one there. You've slip stitched there. You've slip stitched there. Now we're going to slip stitch into that one. So pop your hook in. Yes. Picking up your tail like that and popping it through like that. You need to find your own, I don't know what you want to call it, niche on how you're going to hold your work. It might pay for you to pop it down on the table, and I'll do that one in a minute. So let's just do your 3 double crochets. When you're doing this part here, don't do that too loose or it's going to, drag down a bit. You don't want that. And of course, don't do it too tight either or it's going to pull. So your tension needs to be good. So if you wanted to do it on the table, you could. And you could just go like this. I just took it off the loop. I don't want to do that. You could just go on the table, pop your hook in there, pull up the loop like so, and then pull it through to the loop on your hook, jumping directly into your next space. And I hope that helped. Okay, it's a bit of a tricky join, but once you get it, it kind of flows, and I think I've got it. It did take me a while to get. It's not the way we would do our joins, and let me show you the way we usually do it. We face it up this way and do it that way, which is so much easier, but it doesn't work well. It doesn't sit well the other way. It kind of points up, it sticks up, and your work becomes a little bit of like a wave effect, and you don't want that. This sits nice and flat. Yeah. All right. So what I want you to do, it's a little bit of an annoying part, but once you get it, once you get it, you get it. Pop your hook in your next section, pull the loop up and through and into your slip stitch, and then you're jumping right over into the next space and doing your 3 double crochets. Now, being wary that if you accidentally miss a space, you're going to be way out. All right, so I'll show you what you're going to do now. There. All right, so bring that out, and your work should be like even there. You should have made sure you started in the right spot. Those 3 double crochets are opposite those 3 double crochets in the space, and then you've got your 4 there and your 4 along there. Okay, and of course your corners, yeah? So your job now is to head off on your own and do the rest of this row, okay? And once you get to, and I'll show you where I want you to get to. Once you get to, not the last space there, but get to your second last space. There's your 4 double crochets, yeah? That's your last space, and that's your second last space. Once you get to there, wait for me there, and I'll tell you how we're going to finish off, okay? So go ahead and do that, and I'll meet you there once you're done. Alrighty, guys, there it is. It's huge, massive, long. Now, again, guys, your strips didn't have to be that long. I just kept mine long for our table, which is quite long in length. Oh, I've just lost a stitch there. Let me get back in there and finish off that last stitch, as you do. Okay. All right, so what we have here, now let's get a close-up. I asked you to pop a stitch marker in the space of the green just before the very next space. Don't stress too much about it. I'll show you in a minute where you are. You need to slip stitch into that space like normal, the opposite space. Hello. Make sure it's nice and tight, nice and snug. And we're going to pop into that space there with a normal 3 double crochets. So off you go in that space. See, my stitch was a little loose then, so I'm going to tighten that up. 1, that's better. 2, and 3. All right. Now opposite there, before your 4 double crochets is the last space. You need to pop your hook in that last space, pull up a loop, tighten it up, and jump straight into that stitch marker stitch, which mine is really tight. So hopefully yours isn't as tight as mine. So jump straight in that stitch marker stitch and slip stitch to join. Right there. Oh, it really is tight. Pop that loop through, pull up your loop, giving your work a cut, and there you go. All right, so that's that. So now what you have there is your 3 double crochets, chain 1, 3 double crochets, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And over here you have your 3 double crochets, 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right, so that's slip stitch later. Don't stress too much about how loose that looks. We're going to be doing our border row on it anyway. It'll kind of join in together, okay? But before you continue, just turn your work over real quickly, grabbing your, I don't know, let's try this green because it's close, all right? Grabbing your sewing needle, your darning needle, and just weave in your ends, okay, as you go. Now we've already crocheted over this, so if we went back in there it's going to unravel. So what I do is I take a little bit of a split yarn right there and then weave back in there, splitting the green as well and making sure you can't see the needle from the front, and I just pop that thread through like so. All right, just give it a tug, and then you're going to go back the other way in a different split, of course, and then you're good to go. You've crocheted over it once, you've sewn through it twice, and it's now right to go. Okay, so what I want you to do, and this is the easy part, well no, it's easy because you know what you're doing now. What it is time consuming. This part is time consuming. You need to now grab your very next piece like so and do exactly what we just did here. And where's the part where, here we go. Let me show you where you pop your stitch marker so you know where to, whoops, yeah. Right, where's the beginning? Where's the beginning to the end, to the beginning, to the end. Okay, that's the start of our work. Yep, all right. That's where we initially started before. Your stitch marker may have been in there. Okay, and what I want you to do is to grab your stitch marker, and you can see I've already worked in this one. Pop it in the top chain of your first double crochet. Okay, now that's where I want you to start, in that top chain. Like we did before, you're starting in the top chain, you're working all the way down this way, you're going all the way here, you're doing your corner, you're turning, and when you get to your 4 double crochets, what are you going to do? You're going to attach. Now what I'm going to do is actually pop the time right here to where this starts, okay? And you can actually do all your strips that you have. Once you're done with your last strip, I'll meet you back here and we will talk about a border row, all right? So all you're doing is repeating that process on this strip and this one here, and then you meet me back with a border row. So it's super easy now. You know what you're doing. Just being wary not to miss any spaces. Having a bit of a giggle because I missed a space right in here of the green somewhere, or here somewhere. Now you didn't see that because I did that off air and realized, oh my gosh, I had to take the whole row undone and start again. As you do. So making sure you don't miss any spaces, being careful there, all right? So what I want you to do is go back to that time right there, continue with your 2 pieces or how many pieces you have, how many strips you have, and I will meet you back here once you're done. Alrighty guys, here we go. There it is, all done, signed, sealed and delivered. Not yet. Now we're going to put a border row on our work, just 1. I was going to put 2, but I had a look at it and thought it kind of became a bit of an astringent, kind of tightened everything up and I didn't like the look of it. So we're just going to put 1 row, which really works well for me because I want to get it done. You like that? I want to get it done. Now, this is where you would have ended off. You would have a gazillion ends down here because this is where we started. Yours truly, feeling a bit of a weirdo as I am, I'm not going to start on that end right there with all the tails. I'm going to work over here with no tails. Turn our work around. Where we have our very first cluster set or our very first 3 double crochets, I want you to pop your hook in your very first double crochet of that set there. All right, this is your 3 double crochets, 1, 2, 3. You're going to pop it right into there. All right, that's 1 double crochet, and you're going to use whichever color you like. Yours truly has decided to use the green. I find that the green comes up really nice, so we're going to grab that thread and just pull it through. Grab your little tail, pass it forward. We're going to crochet over that a little bit. Chain 1, give it a tight tug, and then single crochet in the same stitch. And a single crochet is hook in, pull a loop through, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2. Grabbing your stitch marker, and you just need this one, and this will be the very final stitch you'll be slip stitching into, and that'll be the end of your table runner, okay? But in the meantime, we're going to work right across. That's 1 single crochet, there's a second one in your next stitch, 3rd in your next, 4th in your next. You can drop your tail if you like, doesn't matter, either way we're still going to weave it in as well. 5th, 6th and 7th. All right, when we get to our corners, I'm just going to roll this up now because it's falling off the table. I'm going to roll it up. Oops, bring that out. All right, so we got to this part here. Now what we want to do is we want to go into that corner space. Remember, we have a chain 1 space there. We're going to pop a single crochet. And there's numerous things you can do here. You can do what I'm doing here, which is single crochet, chain 1, and a single crochet. All right? Or you can do single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, or you can put 3 single crochets, or I'm giving you all these options. You can put a second single crochet, chain 1, 2 and 3, and let me blow this up for you. All right, that was your single crochet. Pop your hook in those 2 front loops, pull the yarn through and pull it through to the loop on your hook. That is a picot. And then you pop your 3rd single crochet in the same space. So you can have little picots on the edge of your work. I find this is a bit too pointy for my liking. So what you could do instead of doing the picot is a single crochet, chain 1, 2 and 3, and another single crochet. That's kind of like a it's kind of like a beginner's version of a picot, if you will, right? Or again, you can just put whatever single crochets you want in there. I did say single crochet 1, but I might do single crochet 1 and chain 2, 1 and 2, and then another single crochet. And I kind of just changed my mind at the last minute there. So there you go. How do you like that? All right. When you're doing single crochets down here, just pass your thread over, and your very first stitch is right there. You need to put a single crochet 1, a second one in your next, 3rd, fourth, fifth, sixth, and when you get to your seventh stitch, you have all of this here. Now I know a lot of people do the seventh stitch on both sides and then join these two together, but I want to join it together on the seventh stitch. And how do we do that? You pop your hook in that seventh stitch, pull a loop through, just give it a nice tight tug, jump straight into the seventh stitch, or I should say the first, on your opposite piece and pull your loop through. Now you've got 1, 2, 3. Just tighten it up a little bit and then finish off your stitch by pulling a loop through both of them. And what you've done is you've just joined two together, and then you're going to single crochet another 6 up because that was your seventh, yeah? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. All right? And that's what you did. You closed up that center. And I think this is why I had my work get really tight when I did the second row, because it was closing up too tightly there. But anyway, let's pop in the space with our single crochet, chain 1 and 2, and a single crochet. And then what are you going to do? You're going to single crochet in your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and remember what we do when we get to the 7th? We pop our single crochet in the 7th stitch, start it, hold it there, jump into the first stitch on the opposite side, pull that loop through, 1, 2, 3 loops, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. On your hook, start again. 1, 2, 3. Oops, I skipped a stitch. Hello. Try that again. 3. Hello. 4. Oh, it's too close now. Hey. 5, 6, and you're doing your corner again with a single crochet, chain 1 and 2, and a single crochet. Let's have a look and see how those corners look. Yeah, I like them with the 2 chains. They actually look gorgeous. Really cute, yeah. And again, remember you need to move that over to find your first single crochet. Now that's too far, isn't it? Hello, I can't get it right today. Move that over to find your first single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. What do we do with our 7th? We start it, hold it there, jump into the first on the other side, being wary because I just realised mine was really tight there and I almost jumped into the next. You want to make sure you jump into the first one. On that side, 3 loops, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops, and off you go doing your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Yeah? Super duper easy, huh? We're almost there. When I say almost there, almost ready for you to head off on your own soon. Single crochet into your space, chain 1 and 2, and a single crochet. And we're not going to count these stitches, but we are going to move that over and make sure we get the first one though, right there. And the reason we're not going to count them, well you can if you like, is going to take you forever. And you know why? Because we are now on the final edge of your pieces. All right, but what I want you to do is just, I'm going to show you quickly what to do when we get to the cluster sets. Okay, nothing's changed there. You're just finding every V. These are the little V's you're going into there. Every V, and you are putting a single crochet in every V. So we're still on the sides there. Here we go, we're entering into our first cluster set. You're not doing anything different. You're just finding a V and you're putting in a single crochet. Find your little V, and the V is that little thing. I call it a V because it looks like the letter V. Yeah. Find the V here, easy. Find the V here, easy. And here, easy. It's too easy, this part. This is why I love single crochet. Quick and easy. You can fly through it. And it makes this kind of pattern look very nice because this pattern is relatively loose. It's kind of a little bubbled edge kind of pattern. So when you put a tight row of single crochet, it puts it all into place. How far out can we get? pops it all into place. Already you can see it's tiny little bubbled edge here, very, very small bubble, but over here it's already starting to straighten up, and it has done right here as well. All right, so guess what, guys? Super duper easy, this part. I would like for you to do this whole side right here, going into every little V that you find. Get to, and let me just blow this up for you so you can have a look. Get to your very first corner right there, and we'll talk about what you're going to do next. All right, so that's what you're doing. All you're doing is doing that whole side. Get to the stitch marker right here, and I shall meet you up in a moment. Alrighty guys, how did you go? How did you go? It's a long row. All right, here we go. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get all sing-songy with you, but let's get on with what we're going to do next. And I've got a big knot here, of course I have. Of course. All right, here we go. Now, it's a really big loop I left. Look at the loop I left. That's huge. All right, so what we're going to do now, I asked you to get to, and let's get a nice close-up here for you. I asked you to get to the stitch marker stitch, which is the corner, the center of your point, yeah? Your first point, or peak, whatever you want to call it. All right, now I'm in the stitch just before our corner, yeah? Pop your single crochet in your corner, chain 1 and 2, single crochet in your corner. Now, your very first stitch is right there. Remember, we pull our little stitches over to find it, and there's your first single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you remembered once we get to the 7th, it's joining the 7th and the first from the opposite side together. Pop your hook in your 7th stitch first, like you've been doing on the other side. Grab your tail and just holding it in your fingers there. That's okay. Let's do this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's the stitch right there. See where your tail is right there? That's the actual stitch that you're going into. So jump into that stitch there, pull your thread through, and then just pull your loop through to all 3 stitches on your hook, and then you're going right into the very next stitch. Okay, don't miss it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and if you did your calculations right, you would have 6. All right, and just check that area and look how gorgeous it looks. Now that white thread there, or cream, whatever you want to call it, parchment is what it's really called. Just before we go on, I just want to show you what we're going to do with it. All right, grab your sewing, darning, weaving needle and just, okay, you have a choice. You can either weave it through all of these stitches here, or weave it through what we just did. The choice is yours, okay? The choice is endless. Or you can do what I've done in the past, where I've just pulled up a little tiny loop on both sides, making sure I can't see the needle from the front. Yeah. And then what I've done is I've gone into a stitch here, only because this is a sort of project that may accidentally end up upside down. It shouldn't, because that's the wrong side and everybody can see that, but it can. So what I do is I just weave into a couple of threads, making sure you're checking the front. I'm not too worried because I know what I'm doing. She says that she's not sure. All right, making sure you check the front. Do you like that? That's always one in every tutorial. Then I go right into there, checking the front, can't see the needle, yeah, and just literally pull that through and go back through it again in a different thread. So splitting a different thread, going through, and not just the white, I'm going through some of the green on the inside, just making sure you can't see the needle from the front. And then That's it. No way that thread is coming undone. Now, to the newbies here, if you're joining us first this week, firstly, welcome. And don't forget to subscribe, by the way, guys. But to the newbies, I am an absolute stickler when it comes to weaving in ends. All right, so that is it, guys. The rest you know what you're doing because you've only done it a million times, yeah? Single into your corner or your peak, whatever you want to call it. Chain all 1 and 2. Single into the same corner. Move your work over a little bit. Single into your first stitch. Second. Third. Fourth. Fifth. Sixth. And you guessed it, 7 and your first on the other side together. And I can see that one's a less tight. It's still very tight, but I do crochet really tightly. So what we're going to do is do this corner together, and then I'll let you head off on your own. Pop your thread in like normal, your hook in like normal. Okay, and now you want to hop into that tight stitch. Didn't even go in. That's how tight that stitch is. Here we go, we're in. Pull the loop through. You've got 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through all 3 loops, jumping right into the second stitch, which is fairly tight, but it is there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and you know what you're doing in the corner, and you know what you're doing with the rest. Super duper easy. Do the same thing here, being careful, you've got lots of knots there. Turn around this way, do your corner up there, right there on the peak. Don't forget to do your corner. That is actually a corner, so don't forget. And then come all the way down this way. Get to your stitch marker right here, and I will meet you up there and we'll talk about what's going to happen next. All right, continue along this row and I'll meet you there in a moment. Alrighty guys, have a look at it. I'm loving the green as a border. I think the green actually highlights everything. You could have used yellow as well, but I really love the green as a border. I'm getting sidetracked. Let's finish off here, hey? Oh dear, you can't take me anywhere. All right, now I asked you to get to around your stitch marker. I have 2 stitches left. So single crochet in my second last V, single crochet in my very last V, slip stitch at the top of this stitch marker or stitch, take out that stitch marker, pull a loop through, pull it up, make sure all your work is correct, give it a cut, pat yourself on the back because you have now completed 1 table runner or blanket or whatever you were doing with yours. Now it does need a good wash and block, so it sort of straightens it out a little bit. If you found that your, I should have mentioned that earlier, if you found that your edges were still very wobbly, a little bit wobbly is all right, because once you wash and block, that's going to all sit nicely, yeah? Mine's a tad wobbly, but I know that by the time I wash and block that into place, that's going to straighten out for me. Before I came back on air, I actually weaved in all my ends, so I really only have this last end to weave in. Get very excited, guys, because we're going to do this together. All right, so thank you so much for watching today, guys. I hope that you really enjoyed the Mile-a-Minute. I'm having a bit of a giggle because I enjoyed it, but I made so many mistakes and had to keep undoing, as you do. But I hope you really enjoyed the Mile-a-Minute blanket. Now let's just grab this tail end. This is the front of your work. You want to go through the back. So you can do whatever it is that is easier for you. What I find is I tend to grab a stitch right there and just pick up a loop. It's like splitting the stitch or splitting the loop, whatever you want to do. Make sure you can't see the needle from the front. And I just pop that needle, that thread, sorry, right through there. So it kind of disappears at the back. Then I weave in my end all the way through. Oh, I can get it in there, really tight stitching I've got there. It's good though, it's not going to come undone. all the way through there. I think this needle is a little bit blunt too. Be careful, guys. Once your sewing needle becomes blunt, apart from never ever having to pin yourself again like I always do, it sometimes can ruin your work. It can pull at your cotton, especially cotton. Cotton is one of those products where threads can actually pull, yeah, and split and all sorts of things. I'm done with that. You can probably do a third row. I'm not going to, or a third layer, third weave in, but I'm not going to. And there you go, guys. That's it. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and do all the wonderful things that you guys, well, you pretty much already do for me. And don't forget, guys, join us on our lives at 10 a.m. Saturday mornings and 4 p.m. Wednesday afternoons. That's Melbourne, Australia time, by the way. Join us on our lives there and have a look-see at all the fun things we get up to during the lives. And also, when you do join us on our lives, you get a chance to choose some of the colour combinations and some of the projects that we create here on the channel. Now, I was very hesitant about doing the Mile-a-Minute blanket because, well, blanket in my case, table runner, because I didn't really like the look of it. You like that? But you know what? Now that it's all done up, it really looks simply divine. I think I used the right colours, which always helps. And there you go. All right. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget to join us on our lives this week, and we will talk about our Mile-a-Minute table runner and all the other items that we've been creating this week. Thanks for joining us, and ciao for now.